My family is happy that my great uncle has late-stage cancer and are already planning how to spend his money, but they don't know he removed everyone from his will except for me. Posted by you/Shujaan Godark. For background, I, 24M, live a very different life than the majority of my family. I didn't graduate high school but got a GED and started working as a welder and hunting guide. The rest of my family is pretty successful. For instance, my father is a lawyer, my mom used to be an RN, my brothers own companies, and my sister married a lawyer. I'm glad my family found success, but they can be very shallow and often put me down for what I do for work. My mom will make comments like, "When are you going to school to get a real job?" or things like that. They didn't want to pay for welding school, so I worked at an auto shop to pay my own way through. They often go on vacations and cruises without me because I won't be able to appreciate the culture or food and other nonsense like that. I love them, but I have been slowly pulling away from them over the last few years since I can tell that we live different lives and they have no interest in sharing theirs with me. Now, my grandfather's brother, Mike, and I have always been pretty close. Mike and I used to go hunting when I was young, and even though Mike also worked in law, he and I shared a love of the outdoors and nature. About a year ago, Mike was diagnosed with cancer and has quickly gone downhill in the last few months. I have taken a lot of time off work to care for him since he is my oldest relative, and no one else wants to take care of a frail, sick old man for some callous reason. His wife died 15 years ago, and he doesn't have any children. He recently asked me if taking care of him was hurting me financially, and I told him that I was cutting back on hours at work, but I loved him more than any of my other family members, so it was my pleasure to take care of him. The next time I visited him, he revealed that he was having his will changed and would be willing his hunting cabin. It's not really a cabin, it's a small single-family home with power and running water on 70-plus acres, to me, along with about $100,000 to get it fixed up and start your life. He wants the rest of his estate to be liquidated and donated to different causes he was passionate about. Mike is actively dying now. He asked to be taken out of hospice so he can die at home with his dog, who will also be coming with me when he passes away. In his own home, my family was talking about how much money Mike has and how, when he dies, they want to convert his hunting cabin into a summer vacation home and fund a big memorial trip to Europe on his dime since we are his last remaining family, and they expect the majority of his wealth to be divided among us. They do not know that everything is being donated and that I am getting the house and some of his money. I know that if and when they find out about what Mike has so graciously done for me, they will tear me down and curse his name. I don't want to be around for the fallout. I plan to set aside some money for renovating the house for full-time use and start a small welding company someday. So, would I be wrong if I cut them out of my life as soon as Mike is gone? Seeing this new greedy side of them has soured me a lot, and I don't know if I can even stand being around them anymore, even though I know that Mike always said your family should be everything to you.
What's something you used to believe strongly, but don't anymore? When I was younger, I truly believed that if you worked hard, kept your head down, and were kind to people, life would naturally reward you. It sounds cheesy, I know, like something you'd read on a motivational poster in a school hallway. But growing up, my parents always drilled into me that hard work plus good character sparks success and happiness, and for a long time I didn't question it. But then, life happened. Back in high school, I was the kind of kid who never skipped class, always did my homework, and volunteered whenever teachers asked for help. I wasn't a genius, but I worked harder than most of my classmates. I had this one teacher, Mrs. Kennedy, who used to tell me, good things always find good people. And I believed her. I believed that the universe had some invisible scoreboard, and if you stacked up enough good points, life would eventually hand you a prize. So I worked hard, I treated everyone with respect, I was patient, and for a while it did feel like life was on my side. I got into the college I wanted. I landed my first job out of school. I thought, see, it's true. Hard work and kindness pay off. My first job was at a mid-sized marketing firm. I was the low man on the totem pole, but I showed up early, stayed late, and took on projects no one else wanted. There was another guy there. I'll call him Ryan. He was charming, loud, and always seemed to know the right thing to say to the bosses. But honestly, he rarely did his work on time. He'd pass off responsibilities to me or others, but somehow he always came out looking like the star. One day, there was a big promotion on the table. My manager even told me I was the front runner because of all the hours I'd been putting in. I went home that night buzzing with excitement, imagining how much it would change things. The next week, the promotion was announced. It went to Ryan. I was crushed. I remember sitting in the office bathroom during lunch, just staring at the stall wall, wondering what I'd done wrong. I'd believed so strongly in this formula. Work hard, be good things happen. But in that moment, it shattered. Because here's the truth no one likes to admit. Life isn't fair. It doesn't keep score. And sometimes the loud, confident person who knows how to play the game gets ahead, while the quiet, hard worker gets overlooked. That night, I called my grandfather. He's one of those no-nonsense old school types who worked as a mechanic his whole life. I told him everything about Ryan, the promotion, how betrayed I felt by the idea that hard work didn't equal reward. He listened, then said something I'll never forget. Kid, hard work matters, character matters, but don't confuse them with guarantees. Life doesn't hand out medals for effort. Sometimes it just doesn't go your way. You don't do the right thing to win prizes. You do it because that's who you are. It didn't make me feel instantly better, but it reframed everything for me. So what's something I used to believe strongly but don't anymore? That life is fair. That good people always win. That hard work alone is enough. I don't believe that anymore. Now I believe you should work hard because it builds you. You should be kind because it makes the world a little less awful. But expecting life to automatically repay you, that's a setup for heartbreak. Do I still work hard? Yes. Do I still try to treat people with respect? Absolutely. But now I know that life isn't a vending machine. You don't put in effort and kindness and automatically get success in return. Sometimes you'll get lucky. Sometimes you'll get overlooked. Sometimes you'll watch someone like Ryan walk off with the prize you thought you earned. And that's okay, because at the end of the day, the only scoreboard that really matters is the one you keep for yourself.
Has anyone ever felt like their pet was warning them about something? The night I woke up to wet breathing at the end of my bed, I thought it was Pixie. me. But when I rolled over, my dog was already curled beside my head, shaking like she'd seen a ghost. That was the moment I knew something was terribly wrong. Pixie wasn't sick, she wasn't limping, and the vet said she was perfectly healthy. But when you've lived with a dog for 8 years, you just know when something isn't right. And lately, Pixie wasn't acting like my sweet old girl anymore. When I was little, we found her as a puppy on the side of the road. She was tiny, dirty, and shaking, until I scooped her up in a blanket. Since then, she'd been spoiled like a princess. New toys, treats, and basically free reign of the house. But now that I'd moved into my own place, I noticed changes, weird ones. Instead of slowing down with age, Pixie suddenly acted like a puppy on caffeine. She'd sprint down the halls, scratch at doors, and tear apart toys with a kind of violent energy she'd never shown before. It was like she had tapped into some secret reserve of power she shouldn't have. At first, I told myself it was just the stress of a new house, but then she started keeping me awake at night. I'd try to sleep, and I'd hear her claws pacing back and forth outside my bedroom. Sometimes, when I peeked through the crack of the door, her shadow didn't look right. Too tall, too bent. I brought her to the vet, desperate for answers. The vet ran every test possible. Blood work, scans, the works. She looked me in the eyes and said, "Your dog is perfectly healthy." I wanted to believe her, but the way Pixie stared at me from across the exam room, unblinking, I swear even the vet's hands trembled a little. That night, everything escalated. I came home with a new, indestructible toy for her. Within an hour, it was shredded, covered in thick saliva that smelled like rust. I checked Pixie's mouth for injuries. Nothing. Not a scratch, not a drop of blood. And yet, the toy was soaked in something dark red. Later, I woke up to the sound of wet breathing against my foot. "Pixie, quit it," I mumbled into my pillow. But when I rolled over, she was curled beside my head, shaking like she'd seen a ghost. My stomach dropped. Slowly, I turned back toward my feet. That's when I saw it. A creature crouched at the end of my bed, its face warped between canine and human, fur patchy, teeth too long for its mouth. Its tiny black eyes locked onto mine as it let out a horrible wheezing sound, half a laugh, half a growl. And right before it lunged, I realized something chilling. Pixie wasn't acting different. She was warning me. I don't remember how I made it out of the house. I grabbed Pixie and ran until my legs burned. Somehow we burst into the police station, officers dragging us inside as I screamed about what I saw. But when I looked out through the glass doors, the woods were empty, too empty, like nothing had ever been there at all. The officers wrote me off as sleep deprived, but I know what I saw. And now, nights are worse. Every time I close my eyes, I hear claws on the floorboards. Not in my house, inside the station. And Pixie? She won't stop growling at the shadows, like she knows the creature didn't follow us. It came with us.